Yo, what's going on, Keith? Can you hear me? How's audio? I'm only running two monitors. I'm on the road this week, so I don't have my usual setup. We're gonna try to compensate with that by taking questions only from YouTube. That's why I had that's why I requested that. In Virginia, got a little snow coming down. It just stopped snowing actually. I'm gonna wait it out till we get a few more watchers to see. We got Keith, we got one on YouTube. I'm gonna wait till we get a few more. We got a couple on Facebook as well. All right, just a little too soon to start asking questions. I'll start talking about that. I'll cover what I see, what I published yesterday, and I'll do some live charting for you guys and cover my perspective on the market, where I think the downtrend, the major downtrend resistance line is, and what we have done, what BTC has done around it, and what I think is coming up next. And I think the market's looking pretty good. We're looking good for a rally. If you, I'll get in and get started in a little bit as well. So give me just a few minutes. Just waiting for everybody to trickle in. Alright, so I might as well just get started. Guys, thank you for tuning into Power Hour. Today's March 21st, and I'm gonna do this as per usual. I'm gonna cover BTC. I'm gonna cover some fundamentals, a little bit of definitely a whole lot of TA on BTC, and cover Ether as well as the whole market sentiment, and then I'll take questions regarding certain altcoins that you would like me to cover. So yeah, let's get started. I posted actually sent out an email yesterday to all our subscribers saying we've got a rally coming up, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just briefly go over that. Whoa, wrong screen. BTC was still at a price point of 8,500 when I published this, and I said, you're seeing market recovery. I talked a little bit about the fundamentals. I'll go ahead and drop a link to this in the bottom of the description. If you guys haven't read the memo, it would be a good read. And so I talk about the fundamentals, about what happened, with the G20 FSB memo. This doesn't encompass the entire G20. This is just one approach, but it kind of highlights what it gives us a sense of direction as what we can expect out of these meetings. When I looked at BTC technically, this is where it got really interesting. I'll post a link to this if you guys really want to read it and dive into my findings, and you like to read, then absolutely we'll have at it. But I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the chart and highlight what I had seen. So this is going to be a Bitcoin USD on a 4-hour chart, and I believe we are still bullish. I don't see a divergence on the 4-hour yet. ADX on the 4-hour is at that 28 range. We rarely see head turns of an ADX at a 28, so I think we're still bullish. I think there's one more leg up until we become overbought, and then we'll make a little ways down for a pullback. And I was expecting a pullback to happen last night to like the 8,600 range. We didn't quite get down there at all. We stayed in that 8,800 range. And this isn't quite a falling wedge. It's wedging outwards. So there's not really a formation to trade. If you are long, I am long. I'm currently long. I longed at 8,100 at the bottom of this range. And yeah, so if you're long, you're good. I would wait for a pullback before longing, especially on margin. This right here, the bullish divergence was amazing, right? So if, just seeing this, it actually broke out of a falling wedge. If you guys are in our chat room and if you've watched the last few workshops that I've hosted, you should know what a bullish divergence is, and you should know to trade the falling wedge on a long. I was on my flight when this happened, and I really missed an amazing entry. So we had this falling wedge that formed right around here. I'm gonna get rid of the volume indicator, and this would have been the nicest entry. This is literally buying bottom for the time being. And this was a really narrow wedge, so it wasn't even like a full-on retest of the wedge. But upon this break, upon this what looks like a retest, this would have been the nicest entry at 73.92 for an amazing long. So if you guys were actively trading this and you got in at the right time, good for you. At whatever leverage you're at, you've probably doubled your money on this move. And that makes me proud. Val, good morning. Or Vasily, good morning. So I'm going to take it back a notch. We're going to look at the long-term trend. What I see in, why I published what I had published in the email memo. Now, the downtrend line I've been watching has been on a linear chart, a non-logarithmic one, right? And there's been some controversy on that. Oh, it's not a log chart, it's invalid. But what really validates a trend line is how, the trend. Are we hugging it? Is there any kind of reaction to that trend line? Is the price action really close to that trend line? Are we getting pivot points off of there? Are we getting bounces? Or are we just flying through it like it doesn't even matter? And that's what I'm going to cover, right? So we've had the first rejection. I'm just going to go ahead and drop some numbers here. And we had one rejection at the trend line. Second time we tested it, we hugged it for a while and we broke through. BTC broke through, and then it came back down for another retest. So we had a third retest where BTC really stayed on that trend line for a while, and then it looked like it was gonna break back up, right? We see these rejection wicks, and I actually went long here, and with a stop, and I got closed out. This was a losing trade for me. I think it was too soon. But nobody's gonna make a winning trade 100% of the time. Now, but seeing that, and what tells me this was like the 1, 2, 3, the fourth retest. On the fifth time, we actually broke below it, traded sideways back to it, broke down again, and now here we go. We're making this big run up. So as far as the validity of this trend line, which is one of the bear market resistance lines, the actual resistance line for this bearish sentiment we've been going through, we are past it. If we can clear this price level again past like 9,300, get back up to the 96, 97s, that would be very, very bullish. I don't know if we're gonna see that today. I don't see an incoming pullback. ADX is actually turned on the bottom. This is on a 12-hour chart, and we had it back down. We should see some more acceleration here at the 24 range. We're probably going to come down to like the 19 and turn back around. That's what the ADX does. But we're still not completely overbought. And price action wise, we're looking pretty good. We're at 53 with the RSI. So I like what I'm seeing on BTC. And if you guys remember, I posted about what a failure swing was. It's whenever, and so there's that definition in my notes. If you're on Discord, go to Saber Notes, in the top right in the search queue, type in failure swing, and you'll get the textbook definition of a failure swing. And what that is, it's whenever an oscillator it pulls back from the extreme and fails to enter that extreme again. I call the failure swing somewhere around here, and it was premature, but we're seeing the bullish action I had posted about that we were going to see. I expected it sooner than it came. But in a sense, that's a good thing because I could have been shorting down here like a lot of people did, but we didn't do that. I actually refrained from shorting below the 8,000 range, and was looking for longs. All right, so let's go to a logarithmic chart and assess our support resistance in the actual bear trend. So I'm gonna go back to linear, and we see that we are below the trend line, right? But I guess this high was below the trend line, this high was below the trend line. We broke through it once, we've tested it a few times, and now we're breaking back upwards. If we go back to a logarithmic chart, well, this trend line is invalid only because it's a logarithmic chart, in a sense. But if we really examine it, we see that we're getting price rejection at this trend line, where we're seeing these wicks, right? So BTC is coming back down. It hasn't even tested this trend line, realistically speaking, with a full-blown candle on a log chart. Now, this doesn't encompass the bearish trend. We'd have to stretch it out a little, and we're still a little far away from this test. So I think the next level that's crucial is going to be along this line, and we might see what we had previously seen on the other one. I'll redraw that one. So, you know, BTC is going to get into this range and enter the zone of possible rejection. We had a rejection here. We had another rejection, you know, one at 69. We had a rejection at 11.6. The next zone, if we trade sideways, I don't like quite seeing that, but one technical principle is the longer we trade above or really close to a trend line sideways, the less valid that trend line becomes. So the longer we can trade sideways and range next to it, above it, next to it or above it, the less valid it's going to be. So I'm expecting a definite pullback once we get here. It might be a strong one. It might just be a minor retracement. We haven't had a full-blown retrace from this low, so I expect another 50% pullback at some point, and we're most likely going to get it here in this range, and it's hard to pinpoint, you know, what price it's going to be at. And I could put up a fib. It could most likely be this previous resistance. So if we're just going to like put some targets for the current long, I'm going to switch colors on this one. You know, we could hit that 98.35, 9800, which would be pretty bullish. And if we were to hug in here, we'd probably trade down and try to break back up. We'll see how we react here. It's a little too soon to call a full-blown bull market based on this reversal we saw. We want to see what happens at this intersection. You guys, any questions about where I am with BTC on the downtrend? Raj, I believe I've answered your question. Vasily, Keith. Now, this is the 3-day chart. I want to look at a 1-day chart before I move away from BTC. That's a 1 hour. So ADX on a 1-day is actually looking fairly interesting. We had a turn at 26, and now we're sitting at that 24.25. So if ADX can turn again at this 24.25, we're going to see a very volatile swing up. We'd seen these reversals here, right, at a much different ADX level. So we're to look at this price peak, or at an ADX peak, right? And now we're getting this reversal at that 28 range. I wouldn't call this a dead cat bounce yet. We can get the ADX to turn up once again, just like what I posted in my notes yesterday. we'd see a really violent swing up. And it looks like we're actually moving up. We're at 91.62, which is awesome. Look at that. We see that DI plus moving up. I want to see a higher high on DI plus so we don't run into a positive directional index divergence. We don't want to see that. We want to keep making those highs. We want to keep that momentum up. This is a 10-minute chart, so it's not going to be very indicative, but in a sense it could be. One other chart I was looking at is going to be another entry to market is going to be Ether US dollar. We were looking at it yesterday and ETH was at that 554. It was before these two candles came in. This was 12 hours ago, like 16 hours ago. It's somewhat lagging behind BTC, right? The ADX is at a complete top, but then when I looked at ETH BTC, it's not quite looking as strong. So as far as, you know, hedging in ETH, if BTC was to have a pullback soon, I think ETH BTC will make some gains unless it pulls back alongside on USD chart. But as of now, BTC is looking the strongest, and that's where the majority of my holdings are. That's what the majority of my margin longs are. What would you guys like me to cover? Throw me some alts, ask me some questions. We haven't put out a lot of trading ideas recently just because we've been in like a semi-bearish market. We've been bullish on Power and Lumen. Let's go to Bittrex Power. Power's definitely holding at previous support levels, right? It got somewhat rejected from the lower end of the range. We had some really good volume, push it up to here, and triggered my stop on the way down. I do see a bullish divergence. The volume has been low, so we want to see volume pick up. But we do see a nice bullish divergence on RSI. And if we look at our ADX, we're almost at a trough. I want to see a turnaround. It's really good to utilize your DMI indicators, and if you watch the workshop, you should know how to read this indicator and make the most out of these situations. When we're in choppy markets, a lot of our oscillators they don't react well as far as like RSI or stochastic. They can be out of tune. Another one I'm really looking at is going to be NEM. NEM had pulled back on, this was FUD, right? This was like a hack, and we saw this major price drop. And I believe NEM is going to be one of the first tokens to continue its rally upwards. Once again, a lot of these ADXs, everything's converging on a lot of the alts. So we want to see what alts are doing something different for an entry. Let's look at Lumen. Now Lumen's looking a lot different, right? We've got an ADX peak, and it's coming back down at a price peak. This looks good. We see a positive divergence. I picked up some more Lumen at 2,700 just because I like Lumen. I had gotten rid of it up in like the 40s, so I got it for quite a bit cheaper. Awesome. I got some requests from Vasily. Let's look at Strat. Strat's moving up with BTC. Man, it had dipped down to really low. I mean, last signal we had on Strat was in this range, in that 5,500 range. I know I've got some pretty good notes on Stratus that I got from one of their project managers. And they're going to be launching a New York office this year. So it's going to add a lot of legitimacy to the project. It's going to put them right next to Wall Street. And I've been working closely with a group that's associated with institutions. And we found out some really interesting news. And I'll post on it. I'll post on it shortly in our Discord. But custodian companies that hang on to tokens off exchange, they can only hold 7 cryptocurrencies. So we're gonna only see most of the institutional buying, at least US institutional buying and selling, happen on 7 of the cryptos, and the rest is going to be a smaller portion of their portfolios. But Strat is looking bullish. I'm not sure what volume is on it right now. But it's looking like it's recovering. I'm not going to say, oh, it's in a bull run, but it's looking close to recovery. Sorry, Keith. That's where I typically read my charts. I'm used to that. 287 BTC. That's actually pretty good BVOL on Strat. Like if you're looking at power, it's below 100. A lot of alts are like drying up on volume. So what we want to see is volume picking up and then moving forward. Guys, before you just start throwing, shelling out tokens in the question or the comment box, typically I ask for 3 alts and I cover them, and then I take another 3 and I cover them and ask for another 3. So I'm gonna ask you guys for alts as we go through, because I don't want your request to get lost in the comments. I want to be able to get to everybody, and the only way to do that is if we keep a system going. So next up, I'm gonna look at Ripple. All right, Ripple. It's at the bottom of the support. We don't see a bullish divergence on RSI yet. We want to see what it does in the extreme. So as for holding Ripple right now, I don't hold much Ripple ever since getting stopped out on the last signal on this rally, this miniature rally. Let's look at XRP USD. Yep, I mean last time I got rid of Ripple was somewhere up here and above the dollar range, and now we're back to the 70-cent range. Currently I'm going to be looking at being in the strongest gainer, and that's mainly BTC, and that's myself. And what that's going to allow me to do is going to allow me to pick up any altcoin I want at a lower BTC rate, right? So if we're looking at Ripple BTC, if BTC continues this run up to the 9800 range or 9900 range, XRP is going to be further down here. So that's going to allow me to pick up more XRP for less BTC for XRP's run up. So I don't diversify just for the sake of diversifying. I momentum trade. All right, next up, Neo. So Neo's finally had its rebound. I'm gonna take it off log. It's finally had its rebound. I entered a short at like 129. I closed it somewhere over here for the bounce. And now it's rebounding. Neo BTC is. We do not see a bullish divergence yet. It is too soon for me to get back in Neo. Remember when we were in this range, right around here, I was asked on the third test, I was asked in the chat, hey, what about Neo? Should we enter for the bounce? I said, there's no guaranteed bounce at any support level unless it looks like this, right? So if it dips back down, then that would be good. But there is no guaranteed bounce. This is this third retest, and I checked on Neo the next day, and I'm like, guys, I told you, I wouldn't open a position there based on what I'm seeing. This would have been a nice, add to the short because it broke through support. Now, it did find further support down here, but this is a pretty big wick. I would wait it out. It's shaping up like a pennant, could end up being a rising wedge. So before deploying heavily into alts, we have to make sure that BTC is on a true rally, that the market has completely turned around. Because if it hasn't, then we're gonna come back and go back into these bearish cycles, and there's no reason to get caught with our hand in the cookie jar, with the cookies being altcoins, whenever the market hasn't fully recovered. Because what we're gonna see, if we see a BTC rally, we're gonna see alts make lower highs and lower lows up until BTC stabilizes, and then we're going to see alts rally, or we're going to see a couple of alts rise alongside BTC. And those are the things that we're hunting down in times like these, things that are running a tight correlation to BTC, things that are outperforming BTC. ADA had moved up significantly. I think ADA had outperformed BTC in the last 24 to 48 hours. It showed a nice bullish divergence, and we're just seeing the DI positive crossover. So ADA looks pretty good. We know ADA is volatile. Once again, if I was to enter ADA, which I'm likely to do so at some point on a pullback very soon, I would do it with a tight stop loss, because we're still in that choppy territory. Last time we saw BTC make a run up, that was the second retest of the double top, or the retest of the double top. We saw alt rally the same day, and that looked really sketchy. Whenever we're seeing an altcoin rally that's too early, that's indicative of, hey, it might be too soon. But is this rally too soon? I'm not going to jump to conclusions just yet. I want to see how things unfold. We had seen the ADX really make these coils, and I haven't seen ADX quite do that on this type of time frame. But this DI plus DI minus cross looks pretty good, and we're getting back to this lower range. I'll highlight that range. There's quite a bit of volatility that can happen here. We're going from 2,400 to 31. We got to remember also, ADA is still, it's not a product yet. It's still an idea. It's in development. So betting big on an idea currently is going to be riskier than betting big on an actual project. Excuse me, guys. We're not seeing much volume on Ven. BTC wise, actually 1700 BVol. It's back in the bottom of that last range, or it's close to it. I don't see any divergences. Technically, I don't see a tradable setup for a long-term holding. On like the 3-hour chart, it looks pretty good. It looks like another failure swing, and I'll highlight that. We're seeing similar lows on the chart. We want to see what happens here. We might get a lower low for an upwards movement. We're seeing a failure swing as well. I'm not too bullish here. We want to let the market show us what's headed up and ride the waves instead of jumping and being hopeful. All right, guys, taking 3 tokens. Give me 3 tokens. I'm gonna grab some coffee. Give me 3 tokens. I'll be right back. The Dragon has been slaying it past few days. I think Dragon was a top gainer yesterday. I really dislike, new charts because there's not much data on here for us to analyze. We do see a divergence. ADX is coming down right at like this ADX 30 level, DI positive, DI minus. It looks like the buying has slowed down. I think the trend is still, is continuing. Dragon just got listed on the exchange. So what I would look for is a breakout formation, and I think we're somewhat seeing that. We saw like a wannabe pennant form. What I'll do is I'll set some alerts on Dragon Chain and keep an eye on it. Because this might do what Power Ledger did when it was first listed. I know there's a lot of public interest. There's also a lot more public interest in Google searches happening on BTC right now than we were seeing months ago. The chart is spiking on like Google Analytics. So that is a good sign. There's a lot of interest in Dragon Chain, so I'll keep an eye on it. I already have alerts set up. BNB. I got the bull mug out today. Actually borrowed it. Oh, bull market mug. All right, so thing about BNB, the Binance coin, it's right now it's looking good fundamentally, because one of the reasons Binance was able to refund users after the hack, or after the whatever they want to call it, let's call it after the hack, is because of the BNB coin. What they did is they issued these coins and they sold them, and they raised a lot of capital, right? So they have, other than being able to make profits from trades and commissions, they raised a lot of capital with the BNB coin. So what that enables Binance to do is to, when there's a hack, they can be a stand-up entity and say, hey guys, we're gonna try to refund you, we're gonna help you guys out. Like Sacramento, one of our subscribers had an issue, but they refunded his BTCs. So fundamentally it's seeming like, hey, Binance is a good project, the BNB token is good, and it's actually being utilized, instead of Binance pulling an exit scam saying, oh, we're gonna pull a Mt. Gox and we're gonna shut down, we got hacked. Or no, they actually, were a responsible custodian, and they utilized it for good measures. So I don't hold any BNB, right? Just because I think it's only gonna peak out, and it can only be traded on one exchange, so its only value is on Binance. It doesn't have any real world value other than one exchange. So as a hedge, I think BNB looks pretty good. Let's look at it on a US dollar chart and see what it's doing. It's not really making, higher highs on a USD chart, and it's not making higher highs on BTC. So to look at it, from a technical standpoint, we're in a range. I do see a bull flag, or a jaded cup and handle happen here, so we might see some more gains happen. And in the near term, ADX level is at 30 on a 3 hours. Like a 4-hour chart. This looks like it's range trading. It's neither bullish nor bearish. No, if there was a true bull flag that upheld, it's looking closer to moving back up into the next range. We had definitely several touches in this range, and now we traded above it, dropped back below, probably because BTC's movement, and now it's moving back up. So we might see it make a next leg up, but once again, fundamentally, Binance did a good thing by utilizing the money they've raised properly instead of pulling an exit scam. Right, okay. Okay doesn't look very much okay right now. A lot of people like to say, oh, I'm gonna buy low and sell high. But buying low could have happened here and it could have happened there and it could have happened lower. I would stay away from OK Cash right now. Very much clear of it. I'm not into buying low for hopefully selling high because we know tokens can be in a bear market for a very long time. Once they start showing signs of life and signs of a rally is the best time to deploy in a one. Are we seeing a major? I mean, we're not even really seeing much volume here. 18 BTC. Yeah, I would stay away from OK Cash right now, very much. Looking at Qtum. Qtum looks pretty good. I would say it's also too soon for an entry. We're seeing on the 1 day, we're seeing a bullish divergence. And it had made this really violent swing up, and then it range traded, and once it broke out of the range, it got bearish. Whoa. And that's when my moving average here. Let's do my trend indicator. So moving averages wise, we're not quite seeing, it's not ready for an entry. It's really not. It's really premature. Like the parabolic SAR says it is, but I think it's still premature. I like to get in on confirmation, not a bull trap. Last time Qtum was bearish, last bullish bear cycle Qtum went through, we had so many fake outs. We had one, two really violent fake outs. Even right here when it got listed on an exchange, it pumped up and then Bittrex locked up the wallet, so nobody was able to sell up until like the next day, and people lost a lot of money on Qtum's volatility getting caught in a trap. And that's one thing we want to make sure to do is utilize everything, every tool at our disposal. Keith, what is the volume on OKX? I'll look into the fundamentals of that a little bit more on OK and well, let me look into that a little bit more and then I'll be able to give you a better assessment. All right, guys, hit me with 3 more tokens. I don't believe so. I mean, I know there's OK Cash, and I didn't believe it was tied to an exchange. Unless this is, this is new. It's like an adoption or they actually launched an exchange. All right, BAT, that's a project that I like. So BAT has absolutely taken a hit, right? We had, at the peak of that bull market, of the altcoin bull market, the cryptocurrency bull market, BAT almost got back to its BTC all-time high. We're almost seeing somewhat of a cup and handle. Once again, so on a 1-day chart, a buy signal on BAT for me would be like a moving average cross, and we haven't seen that. We're pretty far away from it. Let me put up an RSI. One thing I want to make sure is that I don't get caught in a bull trap, right? I mean, if you look at the 1-day RSI, the last, divergence happened. It took a long time for it to finalize and actually turn around. From here all the way down into there for the divergence, but then actually made a lower low. And I'll highlight that. So I wouldn't load up on altcoins just yet, or none of the ones we've highlighted today just yet. Why? Because something like that might take another 50 days, right? So it could be another 50 days before we see a rally out of BAT for the real deal. So until we get like confirmation, I'm not going to be heavily in the alts. I'm going to look at the projects that are looking good, looking better, things that are giving me more bullish signals, and leaning towards them, as opposed to, just FA driven stuff, because the market's in a correction. Does that answer questions on BAT? This is just like a real back-tested example of how far we can remain oversold. 50 days, it's a long time to lose money, to see that equity curve keep dipping, especially we've been in like this 80-90 day bear market. It's been tough. It's hard. People don't even want to look at their equity curves. There's no reason to add more damage to it instead of getting in at the right time in the right token for the move up. The Sealy Bass is too new of a chart. I can't give you any TA on this. It's really cheap. You can put like, I don't know, you can buy 1 million of these coins for $10. So, I don't know anything about the project. I sit on one exchange, and it's very thinly traded. I'm not touching that until I find out, more about the project. NM, do you mean XCM, NEM, or what do you mean by NM? Dash. Dash is looking pretty good right now. This looks somewhat like a bullish pennant. Let me go ahead before I really, say anything promising. We're seeing a bullish divergence. Moving averages are looking up. This is on a 1 hour. Let me go back to for 1 day. MA cross hasn't happened, not close to on a 1 day. We are seeing a bullish divergence. It seems to lag behind BTC, but Dash has always proven to be an excellent hedge. These all-time lows on Dash, I'm gonna go ahead and circle them. The bottom of this range, we're close to the bottom of the range. Dash would be a good entry for a hedge in my perspective. That's something that I would do, just like to deploy a part of my portfolio in a hedge. So when BTC turns around, hedge up, Dash will uphold the value as a hedge. Now, looking here, these were BTC all-time highs, right? And as I said, when BTC makes a run up, alts go down. When BTC comes down, alts go down, except for hedges. So if we were to see positive volume on Dash, and it could literally gain up to 100% in the next few days. So Dash is one of those volatile Really well performing hedges, 133%. Whenever, I think it was around Thanksgiving when BTC made a massive run up, and I actually got on a plane. I was coming to New York, and I got on a plane. I was like, "Hey guys, I just deployed in Dash for a hedge on on BTC's head turn," and literally over the next day, let's look at it. Let's look on the chart. November, I think this was it, somewhere around here, 24th. November. Anyways, we ended up making like a good 30% on a hedge, or it might have been before Thanksgiving. Um, and I remember JT Crypto was like, he held it for a little longer, and he was like, man, screw hedging. I made 80% in like 5 days. This is amazing. So Dash is going to be one of those good hedges, and getting in before the moving average cross, is never recommended, not by me. Something like Dash, even though it's strong, I would still want to look for further confirmation. Now, if you see like an MA cross on a 6 hour, I can see if I can highlight some of that. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. So Dash is actually looking one of the most promising. We could see a fake out when the crossover happens. We could see a decent run up out of Dash. This was on a 6 hour. This was a fake out, so be careful. Don't get greedy. All right, guys. I'll take 3 more tokens, and then we'll call it a power hour. So give me 3 more tokens. Zeke is looking really nice right now. Just right off the bat, I'm gonna like make these a little brighter. So Zeke's looking a little more exciting, right? I see 1 test, 2 tests. This is the 3rd test of the MA cross. If we were to look at it on historical value on a historical data, the 3rd test failed. So I guess my excitement was a little premature here. But we're actually hugging the 50-day moving average, which is nice. I don't see that happening on a downtrend without a breakout happening. So put on a 1 day. Let's go to 12 hour. And last time I was trading, Zeke was down here, post fork, even like December. BTC all-time high as hedges. Why do you like Zcash, Keith? Tell me. I didn't say love, I said like. Good project. It's a fair answer. So ADX is definitely at a peak, right? So that tells us we could see an incoming swing play. Not only that, but I also see a bullish divergence. Actually, it's not a divergence, I'm sorry. I just see an ADX at a peak. That's all I see on a one-day chart. I do see some MAs looking promising. It could be a trap. Let's also remember we are in a choppy territory. We're in market chop. So it's going to be hard for me to be really confident in any altcoin currently that's not showing true strength. Nothing, I mean, the market's in recovery. We're seeing the market turn, loading up on a good project that you have faith in and you believe is going to be a top performer. It's like trading based on a belief. You want to validate that. It's tough, man. Alts are pretty tough right now. Like, had we seen another divergence? Well, we do see a divergence on a longer term scope. I'm trying to find something here. And sometimes it's hard to find something if we don't quite see it. It's not obvious. I would wait for like DI positive I would wait for a directional index cross, right? Because if you look at these DI crosses, there's still going to be room for growth. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the areas I'm talking about. I know you watched that seminar, you're pretty active during it. So there would be a DI cross for a swing. DI closes once again, somewhat in a range. It's not looking very good. But then we see a DI cross happen here, right? And this would be like a good exit on a death cross. I would wait for a confirmation for a DI cross, and it could happen anytime. So just keep it on a one-day chart or a 12-hour chart or a 6-hour chart and start looking for those directional index, DI positive, cross above DI negative. C and D. And right off the bat, there is a shorter term bullish div over here on RSI. It's like a hidden divergence. Moving averages are pretty close on a one-day. CND had been testing the 30, right? It goes up, tests it, wicks below. CND looks pretty good. It's probably one of the most. It's probably one of the best looking alts we've seen today. Let's go to 12-hour chart. Oh yeah, that was a good pick, Vasily. Massive bullish divergence on the 12. ADX is coming to a turn, or we want to see the ADX turn, right? This looks good on a tight stop. This would be really good. I'm probably looking at posting a trading idea on this one, because it looks like it's a good starter. Let's look at it on a BNB chart. Look at that volume coming in, right? We see this area of no volume. What's happening now? It's getting loaded up. Short, long. I can't assess volume based on that. BVol, we're at 438 BVol. That's, that's indicative of interest. It's not quite looking like here. Let's look at it on an ETH chart. Low ETH volume. But, based on what I said about the Binance token earlier, right? People are actually using it on Binance. We're seeing these higher volume bars on CND, which is, traded on Binance, than we're seeing in BTC. So The utility of the BNB token is apparent, and then because it's seeing a lot of trading volume on it. I'd like to see more BVOL come in. I'd like to see more BTC, you know, which is the most valuable cryptocurrency right now. I'd like to see more of that being deployed in CND to show like a true bullish turn. And I think we'll see that soon. That was a good pick, Val. That's actually the one of the strongest coins I've seen today. I'll have the guys dive into it more. I'll dive into it more. I'll post a trade idea with a stop and some targets. Guys, thank you all for tuning into today's Power Hour. I'll be on the chat. I'll actually go ahead and post a link to this one once YouTube finishes up. And we're gonna start a Power Hour cataloged Discord channel, right? So in our channel is gonna be under the trading library category. We're just gonna put Power Hours, and we're gonna post links to you know the Power Hours. You know, you won't be able to comment there, but you'll be able to come in and look at the previous ones, and or if you missed one, that would be the place to look for it. And we're gonna go ahead and deploy that today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope I answered all your questions. If I didn't, ping me on Discord and we'll go over it. Thank you.